This is the Grand Marshal, Mikey Spandex, and you are watching or listening, depends on where you're at, the OTS Podject.
I asked them, what's the difference between a snake that's solid and a snake that's liquid? And they said, we don't know. Kojima just was on some shit. So, I don't know, bro.
Kojima's always
Apparently.
on some shit.
But, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 25 of the OTS Podject. Theo, what is going on with you, my boy?
Nothing much, just working out, as always. Been watching a lot of, obviously, WrestleMania 18. I had to split that up between a good few nights this past week for this week's episode. What else have I been getting myself into? I think I played a little more GTA. I think one of the nights, just to kind of help get that like business up that came out last week, I think it was. I can't remember.
Recently.
Everything is meshing together. My memory's kind of bleh. But yeah, just kind of a chill week, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, chill week for me too. Just been hanging around. Been trying to dive into the idea of the Metal Gear Solid franchise, but I am completely lost. So that's definitely gonna be a Theo explains to me thing. Kojima really just does seem to be on some fuck shit, and everybody loves it. Because I tried to play Death Stranding, and I don't even think I got through the first like delivery quest before I was just like, this isn't for me. Just because like the gameplay itself is so tedious. But then people will tell you it's the greatest story ever, and I'm like, it is so wild because it's like the actual game is like delivery simulator, but it's got like this movie cinema level masterpiece script in between those delivery simulator missions. And I know the second game literally just came out this week, and everybody's been hyping it up and singing its praises and said it's really, really good. So that's really cool. But yeah, other than that, the bear has returned.
I did have a bit of a summerween party last weekend that my friend hosted that we all kind of did. That was pretty fun. We all kind of just had like chill costumes, watch a scary movie. Before that, we went to like a vintage arcade that had like a bunch of like not slot machines, but the pinball machines and like classic arcade machines and stuff like that. That was super fun.
Nice. Yeah,
I dressed up as a werewolf.
The bear has returned to TV. So I've been binge watching that. I haven't finished it. I'm on like episode 6 out of 9. I had to take a break yesterday because it gets a little heavy and stuff. So I was like, all right, I need to go scroll on some TikTok for a little bit because it's getting to be a lot. But that is my favorite show that's like actively on TV. I think it's an incredible show. The cast is great. The writers are great. Everything about that show is incredible. So I'm very excited that it is back for, I believe this is season 3. So yeah, excited about that. I do know today, season 3 of Squid Game has also dropped. I haven't touched that yet, but I am excited to hop into that. That is the.
I feel like season 2 just happened.
It did. But I think they filmed them back to back so that they could release them like close in proximity to each other. But that this season is the last season, so I'm excited to dive into that and see how that story wraps up and whatnot. So that's gonna be interesting too once I finish the bear. And Ironheart dropped. I'm not sure if you watched the 3 episodes. I'm assuming you didn't.
I had no idea it dropped. I didn't even know.
Yeah, 3 episodes dropped on Tuesday, and then the last 3 episodes dropped this coming Tuesday. So I watched that, and we'll just dive right into our news and discussion if you don't have anything else to add to your week. But so I watched the 3 episodes. I actually enjoyed them. I thought they were good. And I'm not gonna lie, I've seen there were a lot of people that review bombed it, and I think Rotten Tomatoes actually had to like stop it because they were like reviewing it before the show was out. So Rotten Tomatoes, like, that was a reason for Rotten Tomatoes to be able to stop it, is that the show is not physically out yet. So how have this many people seen it? So I think they reset the score or something like that when it dropped. It's doing great on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at a 76. It's a nice fresh little tomato. It's not a Rotten Tomato. It's a nice fresh tomato sitting there. So, and all the stuff I have seen online par for maybe a couple posts or TikToks, in general have been very positive. People have been really actually enjoying the show. I did not think that would be the case. I expected the review bombing, but I expected a lot of people to take that and like accentuate that into their TikToks and their Instagram and their Twitter posts. But yeah, that does not seem to be the case. People seem to really enjoy this show so far, so I'm happy about that. I enjoyed it. It's not like anything groundbreaking so far. It's not like the best MCU show ever, but I think it is pretty good. They do a good job of obviously the Iron Man thing is weighing heavy across the show, but they do a good job of like making it its own thing. Riri Williams is not Tony Stark, and they make that very clear. There's literally a part that I thought people were going to tear apart, and I have not seen anybody say anything about it at all. Actually, in I think the first episode or second episode where somebody compares Riri to Tony Stark, and she straight up goes like, "Listen, he did a lot for my school and stuff like that, so I ain't gonna hate." But she basically says like, "I'm not gonna hate him off the top of my head," but like she kind of insinuates that she doesn't fuck with the guy, and I could have swore people were gonna rip that apart and say that she's disrespectful and she hates Iron Man and she hates da da da. You know what I'm saying? But luckily nobody said anything about that. But yeah, in general, seems like people have been enjoying it. Alden Ehrenreich as I think his name is Joe or something like that, but he is not Joe. He is somebody else. He was great in those episodes. Anthony Ramos as the Hood was the highlight to me. I thought, bro, he had unlimited aura, bro. He was so cool in those episodes. So yeah, you should definitely check them out. I think you'll enjoy it, as it seems like everybody's pretty much enjoying those episodes so far. And the last 3 episodes drop next week, so you don't have to wait too long to kind of wrap up the story. But yeah, that's kind of all I got on Ironheart so far. It's pretty good so far. 2K DLC dropped. I don't want to cover too much about this, but I will say I am very happy that Abyss is in a WWE game. That has me hyped. Clearly, Abyss was never a WWE superstar. He was not in the WWE. But he is currently a producer or an agent for WWE, so he does work for WWE now. So I always thought that it was really cool when they announced it that he would be in a DLC. He's also in WWE Supercard. They just put in like a special event card for him too. So I really enjoy the fact that we're getting some Abyss love, because it's like, if you're not like, he wasn't a WWE superstar, so a lot of people aren't gonna know him. You know what I'm saying? But I like that it's not stopping like WWE's, I guess, merchandise department from still utilizing his name and his IP, because there are still people that do love him. Like me, I grew up with him just as much as I grew up with Kane. I grew up with Abyss. So yeah, I'm really excited that he's in 2K. I played as him. It's fun as hell. That Black Hole Slam is great. They added in, like, because that was already like in the game technically, but they gave him his own versions, which look way better than any other version of it. So I'm like, hell yeah, as it should be. Hopefully, if they are utilizing his IP and stuff, hopefully we do get like a action figure of him. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, other than that, the Great Khali is in the game. I played as him one time. Didn't care. Never really cared for the Great Khali. Don't know how many people really do. And then they had Shaq, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jalen Brunson. All obviously NBA people. People are not happy about that, but the one good thing about them adding these people is they add like new moves of actual wrestlers and put it in their movesets. So that's pretty cool. There's some cool moves. I think Meiko Satomura does it. There's like this scorpion kick where she kind of jumps up on somebody's knee and then does like an axe kick to the back of their head. That's like my new favorite move. It's so cool. So yeah, don't want to go too crazy on it, but the new 2K DLC did drop. They also dropped that WrestleMania pack with not the full pack, but the WrestleMania arenas. Those look great. I don't have it currently, but the screenshots I saw look great. But two things I did see a lot of people talking about was Aleister Black. I sent it to you. Aleister Black, like, they changed his entrance from whatever, it was some generic name. They changed it to Aleister Black, so a lot of people have been talking about that because they would have no reason to do that other than if they were adding him into the game. So that's something that a lot of people have been talking about, because apparently we still don't have the special guest star, whatever, celebrity, whatever, from the first pack with the machine guns and Julie and Stephanie. We still don't have that person. The rumor is that it was supposed to be Travis Scott, but there's some licensing issues with Travis Scott, and so a lot of people are speculating that they're just going to take it and change it, and instead of making it a special celebrity from that pack, they'll just add Aleister Black, which I'm fully on board with. I'd rather have Aleister Black than Travis Scott in the game anyways. And the WrestleMania pack that isn't fully out yet, just the arenas, but in that pack there's the My Faction Persona card of like a new superstar. I've seen a lot of people saying that it's probably Rey Fenix, that there was some stuff in the files or whatever that pointed to Rey Fenix. So if that's the case, I have to get that pack because Rey Fenix is going to be pretty cool to play as. But yeah, that's kind of the 2K DLC. Lilo and Stitch 2 has been officially greenlit. I put this in here because I just thought it was really interesting. I went and saw it. I thought it was good, the live action version. It's really just almost a beat for beat like remake of the animated version. But I wanted to talk about this because I believe this is the first. I mean, I guess you could count Lion King and Mufasa, but those aren't like, it's not a sequel. That's like a prequel in its own thing. So I think this is the first like live action Disney movie they've done that is actually getting a sequel. Because like Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, all those, they didn't get sequels. And like I said, Lion King didn't get a sequel. It kind of got a prequel, but it was like its own thing. So I thought it was really interesting that this is the first live action one that I guess has done at least that well at the box office that they were like, all right, well, greenlight a sequel. So that'll be cool. And I'll be intrigued to see what they do with it because there is like a sequel movie, but there was also that whole, if you remember when we were kids, there was like that whole animated show on Disney Channel. So I'm intrigued to see if they're going to just take the storyline from the second straight to DVD movie or if they're going to maybe try and take the storyline of like the show. So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with that. Like I said, I like the first one, I guess, because again, it's really just kind of a remake of the OG animated one. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. But yeah, and the Sam Raimi trilogy. This is some really cool news. The Sam Raimi trilogy has been announced to be coming back to theaters this fall. So I'm super excited for that. Can you look up the dates real quick? I don't remember the actual dates, but
I got you.
Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 will be coming back to theaters this fall. But the interesting part is that Spider-Man 2 is actually going to be, I think it's called 2.1 or whatever. It's going to be the extended version of Spider-Man 2. So that's very interesting. I know that piqued a lot of people's interests. That there's like an extended cut of that, which in my research too, I found out that there's actually an extended cut of Spider-Man 3. There's like not an extended cut, a editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 that was only like released one time or something like that. That I think I sent you the TikTok. It actually changes some things within Spider-Man 3 that apparently make it a better movie. Like it adds some scenes that kind of add some context to why. Like there's a scene that kind of adds a little more context as to why Peter is just randomly dancing in like a jazz bar, things like that. So that's not coming back to theaters as far as I'm concerned, but that was something that I thought was interesting. But yeah, the original trilogy there, the Spider-Man Raimi trilogy, will be headed back to theaters this fall. Theo, do you have those dates?
Yeah. It's gonna be happening. It's like a 3-day event thing. So it's gonna be like Spider-Man 1 is on September 26th, 2.1's on 27th, and then 3 is at the 28th. And then apparently, there's also an encore that'll be happening on October 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Nice, definitely something that we'll probably if we're able to we'll be checking out in theaters. I mean I've seen Spider-Man 3 in theaters when I was a little kid, like when it came out. But the first two, I don't believe I saw in theaters, so I would like to see those in theaters. I know they did it last year, I believe, where they brought them back, but they brought them back for like one day each on a Monday, and I was like, well, that's almost impossible for anybody at that point to to go and see. So I didn't get to see them. So I would like to see them in theaters. But I also want to add something real quick too. My nostalgia TikTok account, my Back to the 2000s account. Check it out, anybody, if you're interested in some cool little nostalgia stuff on TikTok. I posted a POV, you grew up a Spider-Man fan in the 2000s, and it's just a slideshow of photos from like the Raimi trilogy of like merchandise and the Pop-Tarts and all that stuff. This TikTok has gone off, man. It's not as big as my Sinjin getting thrown out the window TikTok, which is at like millions of views, but that is my peak. There. But this TikTok on account, I had like 80 followers on this account, right? I'm now sitting at 580 something followers. It has like 500,000 views and like 700 comments or something like that. All just people reminiscing on the childhood that we all had with the Raimi trilogy. I posted these damn swim trunks. It's like Spider-Man 3 swim trunks that I had as a little kid. I remember. Almost all the comments are people going, "Holy shit, I forgot I had those." And so I'm like, that is funny as hell. There's like thousands of people that are just like I unlocked a core memory for thousands of people with these damn swim trunks. So that was just a cool little thing to add. But yeah, seems like Ratatouille 2 also is in current development. I don't know what the hell the plan is though. Like when I saw this, I was kind of scratching my head because I was like, what would the idea be? I don't really know why. We don't need a Ratatouille 2. Ratatouille in itself is a peak movie. It's one of Pixar's best movies for sure. So I'm not mad that we're getting a second movie, but I'm more just like confused on what story there is to tell with Linguini and Remy here. But yeah, I am intrigued to see. I don't know if you have anything you want to add there, but I'm intrigued to see what they're gonna do with that.
I feel like this is kind of one of those things similar to like a Mufasa situation where it's like kind of similar to your opinion of just like why
Right.
really, because like I feel like Ratatouille 1 ends pretty well, like the story wraps up fully. I don't know what else you really need to tell, so why are you really making a second one? I'm not too sure, but okay, this is it's honestly more so kind of similar to a Incredibles situation. But I mean, if it's as good as Incredibles 2 was, then I'm not gonna be mad. That was a good movie. I'll enjoy this one too.
Pixar normally does cook, so I don't necessarily see it being bad. But yeah, and I have a little. That's kind of the wrap up on the news there. But I do have a discussion topic that I want to quickly talk about because this is something I saw on TikTok last night. A TikTok of I don't know some in-ring segment with Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vecchia or something like that on SmackDown at some point. And so I wanted to bring this up because I was thinking of this myself. Is Tiffy time over, man? Because
over. It's so over.
And not over
so
like over with the fans. I'm saying like over like it's done because
no, like it's done. Like
because I was like I don't know. I was just like watching this TikTok and I'm like, this honestly is like the first time I've legitimately seen Tiffany Stratton since WrestleMania, and it was just a random TikTok. I don't even know what SmackDown that's from, and I normally watch SmackDown every week. So I was like, I don't even know. I feel like since WrestleMania, she's just been like existing, and there hasn't been any, like she has when she had the briefcase and when she cashed in was like the height. Everybody loved her, and she was over as hell. And I feel like the Charlotte feud has kind of killed her. And when I literally can't give you anything notable since WrestleMania that she's done. And I feel like too, especially like going into Evolution 2. She's one of the champions. She's one of the women's, she is the women's champion. And we're going in Evolution 2, which is like only a couple weeks away. I have no clue what that technically too is the main women's championship. I have no clue what the women's champion is doing at Evolution 2. I have no clue. We kind of know what Io might be doing. Like Io has been, even though she hasn't wrestled, because that's another thing I've seen is Io hasn't been wrestling. She's still been featured on Raw every week. And is still involved in certain things to where you can still kind of see where her direction is going and whatnot. Not with Tiffany, bro. Like I said, she has the main women's championship. I have no clue what she's doing at Evolution 2. I don't even know who I think she might be feuding with Nia Jax. So maybe that's why I'm not paying attention because we already they're running it back. So yeah, I just want to talk about it because I'm like, I don't know what the plan is here for Tiffany Stratton, but she seems like just a name that's holding a championship rather than an actual champion at this point. Like, I feel like I've seen her do more outside of the ring than actually on the show. Like, I just saw her throwing out the first pitch at a baseball game. I've seen videos of her at like the Fanatics Fest. Like, I feel like I've seen more stuff of her doing like, marketing stuff and whatnot rather than actually her on the show. So, yeah, I don't know. They need to figure something out because it seems like Tiffy time is kind of like done because she just seems like she's existing within the roster.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
To me, it's almost kind of similar to like a LA Knight situation, and where it's just this, it's this big gimmick that gets so over, and it's like such a fad and they use this to like get them into these championship spots. But then when they do actually get into these championship spots, it's just like a bunch of nothing. That's kind of boring for a few months, and then they end up losing it, and then they pick steam back up to where it's like you're almost better off just not being a champion, because then you get to at least your bread and butter helps you out and makes you look like this underdog or star of some sort, rather than when you are a champion and it's just like not working.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. They need to do something with her for sure, because she just seems like a random person on the roster instead of like the champion. So that was just a little discussion I wanted to have. But song of the week, Theo, what do you got?
I gotta keep better fucking track of these goddamn lists. One Last Time by Ariana Grande.
Hey now.
I've been getting back into Ariana Grande this past week. I kind of was not listening to her for a while, and then I found the playlist I made that's just all her shit, and I've just been playing through it on like the way to work and whatnot, and this kind of song was the one I was vibing to the most. I mean, she's got a lot of great songs. I was vibing to a lot of them, but this one I was like, this feels like the song of the week for me. I was fucking with it.
My song is going to be Invisible by Duran Duran. I told you before we started. This song, I'm not in the Metal Gear Solid fandom, but as my little TikTok deep dive has led me, I found that this song is not in the Metal Gear Solid games, but people have kind of adapted it as a part of the Metal Gear Solid franchise. It's a banger. I just got to play this part. So good, bro. So good.
Hopefully we don't get like copyrighted for that.
It was less than 30 seconds, so we should be good. But yeah, I just love that song. And I thought like Duran Duran, I was like, oh, this is like a song from like the 80s. No, this is a song that was released in 2021. So I do like that. In current day, Duran Duran is still keeping the kind of like, because it sounds like a song from the 80s. Like it sounds like a throwback song. So I appreciate that Duran Duran is still dropping like 80s bangers even in the 2020s and whatnot. So that's my song of the week.
It's kind of funny because they dropped that song, and I think not too long after, the Metal Gear Solid community like instantly picked that up and started making those reels and memes with that. So it was just pretty much instantaneous.
Right. Yeah, I've seen a lot. I've seen like the actual edits that make Snake like look cool as hell and whatnot. But I've just also seen Hideo Kojima memes that have that song just playing in the background. So it is a dual-sided thing. It gives you some aura. It makes Snake look badass in his edits, but it's also just funny as hell to hear it. Like I saw, there's a guy on TikTok that I think I sent you that like cosplays as Kojima. Like he just looks like Kojima, and he just makes these dumb TikToks about like feet and running out of the room and stuff. Like taking a photo of somebody's feet and running out of the room. And you just hear "Invisible" by Duran Duran just playing in the background as he runs out of the room. It's great. So that's my song of the week. I love that song. I've been listening to it for like the past 2 days, and it's just been on repeat. Anytime I'm listening to music, that's the first song I've been picking. So really, really good. But yeah, it's time for our topic this week. Our monthly review has come back around. This time, WrestleMania 18. I did say. Next time, our next review is we're going to stray away a little bit from the WrestleMania stuff, and we're going to go Man of Steel. I got to look and see. It's going to be obviously one of our 4 topics next week, or next month, but I got to see. I want to line it up right when Superman does come out. So I got to see.
It'll probably be like the second episode or something like that. Maybe first.
So our next review is going to be a little sooner than the end of the month like it normally is, but this month we are sticking with the WrestleMania theme. And we're going with WrestleMania 18, and we will pick up. We're going to pick up with 19 and 20 and whatnot. Obviously, I just wanted to do Man of Steel next as a cool little, collaboration, I guess, with that new Superman movie coming out. But yeah, WrestleMania 18. This one, this is an interesting WrestleMania, bro.
It definitely is. First off, I want to say I really fuck with the logo.
Yes.
I really fuck with the X8. I think
it's sick. Very good. As a kid, again, I watched 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 on that box set a lot, and I feel like as a kid I favored this one a little bit more than 17. Not now, bro. Not now. This, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but I'm gonna be honest with you. This compared to 17, this is like almost sad. This like it's
Yeah. There's a lot of stinkers in this one.
Yeah, and it seems to be a thing with these kind of Attitude Era-esque WrestleManias. There's a lot of like filler, and maybe we get those on our current WrestleManias, but I guess in a way, maybe it's just that there is filler, but the people that Triple H is using still kind of seem like stars. Like you could say Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio, which turned into Chad Gable versus Rey Fenix, is a filler match, or El Grande Americano, right? But like the Chad Gable stuff, Chad Gable still seems like a name, you know what I'm saying? And so did Rey Mysterio or Rey Fenix. Whereas like here, you've got, no offense, but you got like Maven versus Goldust, and it's like neither of these guys seem like big. Yeah. I mean, Goldust he was a name because like, you know, he had the stuff in the '90s and whatnot, but like, I don't know. It just seemed like a match that could be on Raw instead of like a WrestleMania match. But
yeah,
let's dive into from the jump the opening match, the WWF Intercontinental Championship on the line. William Regal defending against Rob Van Dam, and Rob Van Dam won, right? I believe
he did win. Okay. I do want to bring up before we get into the match. I fucked really hard with the opening, like song, like the Superstar. That's gotta be like one of my favorite like WrestleMania themes ever.
This is something they do
so good.
This WrestleMania, and they do it throughout the night because they start with that, but there's a couple entrances, and then like there was like right before, it may have been a couple matches before the main event, but they had a whole performance that's like telling the story of the main event. I wish they would bring this back almost like having random performances, and this wasn't like, I mean, they did have some people, like they did have these, it was Saliva and it was Drowning Pool, right? It was two different bands, I believe. They did have them play out like a couple people's entrances, but they had like Saliva legitimately was just the opening song, and I think they did like the story of the main event song and whatnot. I do wish they would bring this back because it does add kind of some more spectacle to WrestleMania, seeing these live performances that aren't just like, you know, America the Beautiful and whatnot, because they do that. Obviously they'll have Jelly Roll do, you know, America the Beautiful or whatever, which is cool. I like that. But I would like to see kind of these almost just random kind of song performances. But I don't know, maybe in today's day and age that's not a vibe, because they have done it, now that I think about it. They did it SummerSlam with Jelly Roll. They did it with that guy Knox a couple years ago at SummerSlam, and people were just shitting on it, and they were like, move on. I mean, I like Jelly Roll, so when they did it with Jelly Roll, I was having a good time. I thought it was a nice little break. But maybe that's why they won't do it, because they kind of tried it, and people just shit on it the whole time. But I do enjoy this random kind of performance stuff that they do. But yeah, so William Regal versus RVD for the IC title. Rob Van Dam wins. My notes here are great match. Enjoyed the match. It was a nice, solid match. Great opener. It sets the tone. And Vince obviously knew this. The opening match sets the tone for the rest of the night. So there has to be the match in the beginning of the show has to be just as good as the main event. You know what I'm saying? So, and I won't say necessarily this is as big as the main event, but the match itself was like a really good match. So it was a good opener. Love RVD's gear always. That's like so good.
Yep.
And there was a point towards the end of the match where RVD took a half and half suplex and just landed on his head. That was terrifying. But yeah, that's my notes for this match.
Yeah. I've got kind of a similar thing. A pretty decent start. I like this match a lot. I thought it was pretty good. It's definitely better than a good number of the other matches we've got on this list for sure. And then I also wrote down, does William Regal piss Brass Knuckles? Question mark. Because he must have pulled like at least 2 or 3 out of the front of his trucks during the entire like duration of this match. And I just thought it was kind of funny because it just keeps pointing his out. I'm like, is he just pissing this shit out, bro?
He's great.
Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, it's a good opener. The WWF European Championship, Diamond Dallas Page defending against Christian, with Diamond Dallas Page retaining the championship. My notes, there was the promo before the match with Christian. So my first note is Christian's face in that promo. Just him being...
The stupid smile?
That shit is hilarious. I love, my other note, I love the European Championship. I think the design of the European Championship is so nice. It's just a really good belt. And there's no need for it when you have the IC title, but I wish they would have some way. Almost maybe I wish the NXT North American title was an NXT European Championship or something like that. Because I just loved the European Championship kind of idea. Okay match. It wasn't anything too special. It was just okay. But at the end of the match, Christian's tantrum was pretty funny. It's such a stupid gimmick, but it's also still entertaining to see him kind of just have like a little mental breakdown every time he loses a match. So yeah.
Yeah, I also wrote that down, that I really like this like era of Christian, because it's just like he has that like I've called it a Christian crybaby crash out. He's got that stupid smile in his promos and stuff like that, and even like through the night, because like later on he like wins the hardcore championship or something like that, and he's just running around and he's being like super cocky, and then he like crashes out again. It's just very funny. I think he's just always like a great comedic character for sure. Yeah, but it was a decent match. I didn't have too many notes on the match itself. It
The WWF Hardcore Championship, Maven defending against Goldust. This didn't have a definitive winner, right? I don't believe. I feel like the match got Spike Dudley. Right.
Spike Dudley ran in,
Right.
and he rolled up. I think he rolled up like Maven or something like that, and he
So
won.
this is
And then he ran
clearly
off.
this is when the 24/7 rule was still in effect for the Hardcore title. But my notes are I love the gold weapons that Goldust had. He was just pulling out weapons. They were all gold.
The gold
Yes.
trash cans and stuff like that.
YouTube
yeah.
sensation Maven, because he's a YouTuber now. So I don't know, man. We got to stop booking these YouTubers. Even back then, man, we got to stop booking these YouTubers.
I'm saying, even before YouTube
Right.
existed, man, we gotta stop booking.
Right.
YouTubers.
A big pop for me seeing Crash Holly. I love Crash Holly, so seeing him, because he was the one that came and chased Spike out, I believe, after Spike won.
Yeah, he's always involved with this
He's
hardcore
the man, bro.
championship.
He's the man. I love Crash Holly
every time.
And I want to just cover the whole backstage thing because it goes on throughout the night, but we'll just cover it
Yes.
all within the Hardcore
Yeah.
Championship match here, dude.
Yeah,
This is one of my favorite parts of the show. Is just this backstage stuff they keep going
it's
through
so good.
every now and again. So that's another note for me, is I just love the backstage stuff. Al Snow just crashing a golf cart into a bunch of boxes is great. But my favorite is this first backstage part where Hurricane, my guy, one of my goats, comes swinging in on a rope. He flies in, wins the Hardcore Championship, and then flies away. And when he flies away, you just hear a whoo, like clearly it's Shane Helms doing a whooshing sound as he jumps off screen,
Right.
and it is so funny just hearing like a whoo as he jumps off screen. But yeah, throughout the whole night, obviously they come back to it. He's got the Hardcore title. I was looking for a French fry to steal, but there's no French fries.
Well.
I think it's 2 McChickens. But yeah, so sorry about that, y'all. Had to pause. So yeah, I just loved all the backstage stuff. So it cuts later to Hurricane walking with the Hardcore title, and Mighty Molly appears. His trusty sidekick, Mighty Molly appears, and she's happy for him. Psych! She rolls his ass up. Now Mighty Molly is the Hardcore champion.
No.
Oh,
She hits him with a frying pan in the back.
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
head, and then wins the title. But that was after when fucking Hurricane was like running around, and he was hiding behind that like screen with the 4 women who were also there, like getting dressed.
Yes. Oh my God.
And he has
yes.
that like if it's like a pool.
He
cue or
runs
something, I
into
don't know,
the
he just,
women's
like,
locker
lifting
room.
it up.
Right. He went into the Godfather's hose locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great. Then he meets up with Mighty Molly, chases him with a frying pan. Mighty Molly wins the Hardcore Championship, and then a little bit later we come back to it, I believe. Is this the part with Christian, or is there another part?
Yeah, this is the part. She's running around,
Dude,
she's trying to get away, and then
she is
Christian
running,
hits her with a door.
running down a hallway, goes through a doorway, gets smashed in the face. She did not turn her head or anything, so I'm pretty sure she just straight up got smacked directly in the face with this door. Right. Nasty bump. She just straight takes a back bump, and then it's revealed. You only see legs, and he opens the door back up, and it's Christian.
It's Christian.
And he says something that I'm blanking, but he said something that had me die. Like he said, like their catchphrase or something like that. I don't know. Like he literally says like he like hits her with the door, opens it, and is standing over her, and he's like, "Stay back. There's a hurricane coming through," or something like that. Like he says their catchphrase or some shit like that, and it had me dying laughing. He wins the Hardcore Championship, And then we come back to, I believe, what's the final segment of the hardcore thing later in the night, right before the main event, where Christian is getting the hell out of here. He's running. He gets to the parking lot, or the staff parking lot inside the arena. He's got a cab waiting for him. He's running. He's about to get in, but he decides to kind of jump on the door a little bit and celebrate. And he's telling the taxi driver, "Look at me, I'm the hardcore champion." And who comes up from behind him? None other than, it's Maven here, guys. YouTube sensation Maven is back to get his hardcore championship back. As Christian goes to get in the cab, Maven says, hits him with a little roll-up, I believe, right?
Yep,
little schoolboy. 1, 2, 3. Grabs his hardcore championship. Steals Christian's taxi cab. That's just a dick move. Steals Christian's taxi cab and just darts out of the arena with the taxi and the hardcore championship, and Christian is left with nothing but a temper tantrum. Does he throw a temper tantrum? I feel like he has to,
does.
right?
It's not as major as the one that he threw in the match
Right.
with DDP, but he is like on the ground like, no.
Right. So yeah, this is like, honestly, as dumb as this is like my favorite part of the whole WrestleMania is this
It's
ongoing
so
backstage stuff with the hardcore title, but especially the Hurricane stuff where he just Paul Burchell's himself in on a rope, wins the hardcore title, and then goes whoosh and jumps off just jumps out of frame is the best stuff. That part and the Christian saying what I gotta look this up. Whatever catchphrase Christian says is the funniest thing that I've seen. I gotta look this up. Hold on.
Right.
Let's hope it'll. Okay, Christian wins the hardcore championship. Gotta go to the Hurcycle. Frying pan. Okay. Boom. Alright, what's he say? Oh, they skipped it. Damn.
Oh.
They showed him hitting her with the door, and then it just cuts to him pinning her. Okay, so I don't remember what he says, and I can't find any other clips, but that was a highlight. He literally says something like, "Stand back. There's a Christian coming through." And then like pins Mighty Mo, and it is the funniest thing ever. So
I wish this is another thing that I miss from like current WrestleManias. There's not enough like funny backstage stuff like this. I feel like if they had more of this stuff, it adds a whole like entertainment value to it.
Right.
That's just
because even when they had the 24/7 title, which is essentially the hardcore title, but under a different name, with the 24/7 rule, even when they had that, I can't remember a WrestleMania that had a 24/7 title like situation going on when they had it. I cannot remember.
It would always be on like Raw or SmackDown or whatever.
Right.
The fuck.
I can't remember like
WrestleMania
38 where they had R-Truth running around backstage, and that's such a missed opportunity. They definitely, especially it's WrestleMania, and they did it without WrestleMania with having celebrities involved or legends involved. I mean, there was a point where Kelly was 24/7 champion. I believe Stacy Keibler was 24/7 champion. So it's like, why would you not on WrestleMania when you have access to basically every celebrity in the world, every legend is already there to do stuff for access. They could have done some really, really fun stuff with the 24/7 title. We were talking about that in the WNRN group chat of how, you could say the 24/7 title was a dumb idea, but it really wasn't a dumb idea. It was just a dumb delivery. But it could have been so much better. It could have been really, really fun. And it just kind of got relegated to, just let R-Truth do something with it this week, every week. Yeah. It seemed like Vince loved this idea for like he normally did. Loved the idea for like a week and then was like, I don't care. Move on. Right, but now we have this championship that we still have to use. But yeah, missed opportunity to have one of these recent WrestleManias with legends, celebrities, R-Truth, Tozawa, Dana Brooke, Tamina, all these people where you could have gone throughout the whole night where R-Truth is trying to just escape the stadium and he has to run into Jelly Roll or Vanessa Hudgens or Macaulay Culkin or Travis Scott or Stacy Keibler or, whoever. Stone Cold, I don't know. Missed opportunity for sure to have that happen. But next match, singles match, Kane versus Kurt Angle.
This I'll start with this one. I'll start with this one.
I only have two notes.
Randomly thrown together match.
I only have two notes.
Randomly thrown together. I didn't dislike it because Kurt Angle was my favorite, and I thought Kurt Angle did pretty well in this match, and Kane also did pretty well in this match. But it is just randomly thrown together, and I don't even know if there was ever really like a storyline behind this, or if they were just like, just get these two guys together in a match. They need to be on the card regardless because they're big names and stuff like that. My one big note that I have here is before the match even starts, I think I talked about this in our WrestleMania 17 episode, Kurt Angle comes out and he's got the microphone and he's doing his promo and stuff like that. And it made me laugh the first time I saw this, and it made me laugh again when I rewatched this, of just him being like, if I had to win my gold medal like how this Canadian did, I would shoot myself in the freaking head. His delivery is so top notch every single time. It's so fucking funny.
So good.
I love it.
It's even wilder when you realize the whole, like, this is what, when he said that, I don't remember him saying that until I watched this, and I was dying laughing. But then it got really morbid when I thought about the Tommy Dreamer thing a year prior, bro. And I was just like, wow, that totally just slipped Kurt Angle's mind, I guess, or maybe he didn't know about it. I don't know, but I was just like, damn, that is crazy. Yeah, I only got 2 notes here. The match was okay, but Kurt Angle, no offense, Kane, but Kurt Angle deserved a way bigger match than this. This is the epitome of filler. This is like this year with Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Just I guess we gotta get these 2 guys on the card, but Angle is such a main event guy, man, especially at this point. I mean, he had already been WWE champion like twice. He had been in WWE for like 3 years at this point or something like that.
Yeah.
Had been WWE champion, had been European champion, IC champion. Like, he's literally done everything up until this point. So he definitely deserved way bigger than the match with Kane, who, again, no offense, but like at this time, I mean, technically he had been WWE champion, and he had been tag champion, but like, he didn't have too many accomplishments. He wasn't like this huge main event guy, at least not in this year or the year before. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was just kind of there. So yeah, Angle definitely deserved a way bigger match at WrestleMania.
For sure.
And I think I have, because I have at the end of all this, I do have other notes. I think I may have something about this match or about Angle that we'll talk about. But yeah. No disqualification match. The Undertaker versus Ric Flair, the Nature Boy. Ric Flair.
Nature Boy.
I got a couple of notes here, but my first one is from the video package. I never knew this until literally right when I watched this. I've seen this WrestleMania tons of times, and I love this guy so much, but I never knew this until now, and I had to look it up to confirm. There was a point where in the video package they show them brawling in the crowd, and Ric Flair accidentally punches a fan in the face. Right? And then they come back to it later where they're backstage and the fan is like backstage getting like helped out by security and he's yelling at Ric Flair. I did not know that was Paul London. I had no clue that was Paul London until right now. Until I watched this. So I thought that was really interesting. Obviously, this is either before he had gotten signed or maybe he had been signed but he was in developmental. So he was just an extra. Right, like they still do that with indie wrestlers. If they're in the town, they bring in indie people to be extras and whatnot. So yeah, I was like, I saw it and I was like, no, and then like, so I saw him get punched and I was like, that kind of looked like Paul London, but no. And then I saw him backstage and I was like, that's fucking Paul London, man. and then I looked it up and there was like a Reddit thread about like, kind of a wild Reddit thread of like Paul London's debut, and it was like his first match or whatever. And somebody goes, well, if you want to be correct, his actual debut is on a random Raw when he got punched in the face by Ric Flair. And I was like, okay, so that confirms it. That was Paul London. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I love Paul London so much, but I had no clue that was him all these years. So yeah, my other notes though. Keep rolling. That's my other note there.
I'm always jamming out to it. Jamming. It's so good.
Yep, me and Dolly, who's sitting over here, me and Dolly we're kind of headbanging to it. This is a wild text. It says jerked off the top rope. That's all this text says. But I remember what it was. There was a point in the match where I don't even remember who it was. Somebody gets like pushed off the top rope. And JR just goes, I think it was Ric Flair, and he just goes, oh, Ric Flair gets jerked off the top rope. And that just has stuck with me. I was laughing my ass off. And my last note, great match. We can say what we want about Ric Flair being an asshole, but he's a good worker. And so is The Undertaker. So, it on paper, this match might seem a little random compared to like some of Taker's other WrestleMania opponents over the years, but they delivered with this match. I liked the inclusion. Again, in the video package, I like the inclusion of Arn Anderson and how they included Arn. And I think he shows up in the match, right? I think he does
He
a run
does,
in.
yeah. I have a
Right.
note because like my note is just kind of like one like long continuous sentence almost of just like little thoughts that I'm writing down as the match goes on,
Right.
and I'm mid typing out like how I'm like I don't like Ric Flair, but I gotta give him his props because he's doing pretty well out there for like a 50-year-old guy who's like bleeding from the head and getting thrown around and whatnot. And
Right.
I'm going through this whole like text, and then right as that happens, I type out in all caps, "Is that the fucking Glock Arn Anderson?"
Yes, sir. Yeah, so I like the inclusion of Arn Anderson, but I also like the inclusion of David Flair, who
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know if they confirmed this, but I was assuming. So he was in he was in WCW with his dad, and he was kind of a heel in WCW and whatnot. This is obviously after they have purchased WCW. So my assumption was, when Undertaker goes to beat up David Flair and he's like training or whatever, I was assuming he was probably in, at that time, whatever WWE's developmental system was. That's my assumption. I could be wrong, but I'm assuming he was in developmental. So that's kind of cool to go back and see years ago, like NXT, like somebody showing up at the Performance Center, essentially, to jump somebody. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, in general, just a really good match.
Yeah, I like this match too. I wouldn't say it's not like up there with the rest of Undertaker's or
Right.
Ric Flair's WrestleMania matches or anything like that, but this was pretty good. I did enjoy it a lot.
Yeah. Singles match, Booker T versus Edge. I literally have one note, and it was just Edge with the Rob Zombie theme song was fire. Other than that, this match was just a match. It was just a random match. There was nothing really to it. There is a note that I will say later as like a little fact because it's so stupid. But yeah, this is just like a kind of a random match, just another kind of filler.
Yeah, I just had it was a match that started, ended, and there was some wrestling in between.
Yeah. Singles match: Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Scott Hall with Kevin Nash. I only have two notes on this one too, but this is a good match. I love Scott Hall, but Scott Hall had unlimited aura whenever you would see him. So when he made his entrance, I was just like, yeah, this guy's the guy.
Yeah.
And his sell of the stunner it was so great. I know people talk about it
It's one of the best sells
to this day.
For sure.
Yeah, people still talk about it, but that's the only notes I have. In general, it was just a good match.
I didn't really care for the match too much, to be honest. I feel like for the most part, I was kind of like doled out a little bit, I guess.
Mm.
It may have been just like lag from the Booker T Edge match because I was kind of feeling the same way about that. But
Right.
I was really fucking with Scott Hall and his entrance and stuff like that. And obviously the cell was super big because it was
Yeah.
like a double stunner cell pretty much. But yeah, I thought it was kind of whatever. I didn't really care too much about it.
It was just there. And especially too, like, again, no offense to Scott Hall because I love Scott Hall, but he wasn't, he's not Razor Ramon at this point.
Right, exactly.
So like Stone Cold kind of also probably deserved a bigger match, So yeah, but in general, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
The WWF World Tag Team Title Fatal 4-Way Elimination Match. This is a big one, and this one's gonna get interesting. Billy and Chuck as the champions, defending against the APA, the Dudley Boys with Stacy Keibler, and the Hardy Boys. Well, starting first off rip, Theo did not know who. I'm so shocked about this. You had no clue who Billy and Chuck were. I could have sworn you had already known who they are. You know who Rico is.
Yeah.
But you had no clue who Billy and Chuck are. And Rico isn't here, so I'm assuming he maybe wasn't managing him at this point. But at some point,
Right.
Rico is their manager. But yeah, you had no clue who Billy and Chuck are, and now they're your favorite tag team. So
Dude, it was so crazy too, because like every team comes out before they do, because they're the champions.
Right.
And these are like incredibly recognizable teams. So when you have like the Dudleys come out and everybody knows who the Dudleys are, you have the APA comes out, everybody knows who the APA is. You have the Hardys come out, everybody knows who the Hardys is. And then you have these guys come out, and at first, when their theme song hit, I had two consecutive thoughts. I'm like, who the hell is this, and why is the theme song go so hard? Because I was fucking with that theme song so much. But it didn't.
great.
It took me like 5 minutes into this whole thing to realize that I was like, holy shit, that's that's Billy Gunn. And then I'm like, who's the other guy? Who's Chuck? And then I look it up, and it's Chuck Palumbo. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, man. My notes here for the match. Dudley's entrance had me hyped. They got a live performance, I believe, by Drowning Pool.
Yep.
I don't really like Bubba. I think Bubba's an asshole, but this shit had me hyped. I was up for sure. They had me hyped with this. My note, you look so good to me. Just such an iconic. Again, I'm shocked that you didn't know this because that's like an iconic wrestling theme song that people always love to bring up. The slap spot between Stacy Keibler and Jeff Hardy was crazy, bro. This is pure, like, Vince McMahon, WWF Diva booking right here, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm shocked I didn't write anything down for this because I was like, this is fucking insane.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And for those who don't know, she gets up on the apron to distract. She decides to pull her shorts up so her ass is out. Do a little twirl, shake, whatever.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy hilariously mimics her with the little dance in the ring and then just slaps her on the ass and she just like falls off the apron. This is pure Vince McMahon WWF Diva booking because that, I believe, is the only thing she does in this whole match.
Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah, I will say though, when she screamed, it's just so random, but I just can't unhear it. When she screamed, she sounds super similar to Padme in Attack of the Clones when she gets like slashed in the back. Their screams are very similar, very similar.
That's fucking funny.
So yeah, big pop for Jeff Hardy taking his shirt off. I thought that was also funny. The man wrestled pretty much the whole match with his shirt on. I believe it may have been like right after the slap spot where he decides to, finally rip his shirt off, and you just hear all the women in the crowd just lose their mind. Like, it's funny because the spot before was for the men, and then him taking his shirt off right after was for the women. So you got or I guess the women and the gays. You got the best of both worlds there.
It's reparations.
Right. So I thought that was funny. Like, he literally took his shirt off, and I just heard like the whole crowd just like
the pop was crazy.
Go crazy because this man just ripped his shirt off, and he looked great. He looked shredded.
Yeah.
My last note, time to die, Jeff Hardy, is just a random line that Bubba says to Jeff Hardy in the middle of the ring. And I just thought that was hilarious. Like, sometimes these wrestlers just say the stupidest shit. And I have another one later that I'll talk about. But sometimes these wrestlers just say, like, the dumbest shit. So he hits Jeff with something, and Jeff's on the floor, and you just hear Bubba go, "Time to die, Jeff Hardy!" And then they just continue on with the match. This match is okay. Nothing too special, especially, I mean, compared to the 2 years previously with the ladder match and then the TLC match. So the tag match here was never going to top those, obviously. But it's still a fun little match. It still got everybody in. You still get to see the Dudley. Like, at this time, I mean, we're kind of out of the Attitude Era, but it's still kind of in there. So you still get the APA, which is a big tag team from the Attitude Era. You still get the Dudleys, which is a big tag team from the era. And you get probably the biggest tag team out of the whole era with the Hardy Boys. So, yeah. And it is interesting. This is kind of the last, at least for a while, this is the last Hardy Boys WrestleMania because next year, 19, Jeff is gone. Matt is on WrestleMania 19, and he's defending the Cruiserweight Championship against Rey Mysterio. And Jeff, I don't know if he was gone or if he was still on the roster, but, like, he was gone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in general, WrestleMania 19, there is no Jeff Hardy appearance. So, yeah, this is the last kind of Hardy Boys appearance at WrestleMania for a good little bit, for sure. Yeah.
I thought it was also an okay match. I have written down, Billy and Chuck have a great theme. Also, who are they? Okay, found out who they are. This is fucking crazy. APA gone instantly. Jeff Hardy is like a fucking phantom when he just flies in out of nowhere, because I swear to God, every time I watch a Jeff Hardy match, there is a point where he will just fly in out of nowhere.
Yeah, he disappears and then just comes back.
They won, question mark. I was not expecting these two to pick up the win, but they picked up the win. I was like genuinely surprised and almost kind of happy about it too, because I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Billy and Chuck, man. I feel like now you need to go on like a deep dive of Billy and Chuck lore and just watch other matches.
I gotta go deep dive the iceberg of Billy and Chuck.
There is a segment I remember, and it's so crazy, where there was like I don't even know what exactly the segment was. It was a competition between Billy and Chuck and Stacy Keibler and Tori Wilson of it was like a hot off or some shit, where it was just like, who's gonna win between these two pairings, and it was just like, okay, you guys have to do the same poses, and whoever gets the most reactions wins. And it is so wild because you see like Tori and Stacy, like there's a part where Tori is like, little kid me, this is definitely ingrained in my head. Tori, they're in bikinis. Tori is like laying on the floor, and Stacy like catwalks over to her, and they pose, and the crowd is just going crazy. And then Billy and Chuck do the exact same thing, and the crowd is just like so confused. So that's a big one I'll have to send you, because that's like a funny segment. But yeah, it wasn't like a long tag team, but they had a good run. They had the tag titles and whatnot, so it was a decent little run as a team there for Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo, even if they had to pretend that they were two men in love when clearly they were not. I actually want to watch some interviews from both of them to see what their thoughts were, because like that's such a, I mean, I guess at the end of the day you do your job, you know what I'm saying, and like it's no different than casting Timothée Chalamet to play, you know, a gay man or something like that. But like in wrestling, where it's very bro-esque and very like, probably not as much now, but definitely back then was very homophobic, you know. I would like to see what their thoughts were on that situation, because it probably was kind of something that was confusing or maybe a little concerning to them, of like, how are we going to do this? This seems a little off, you know what I'm saying? So definitely something I would like to kind of dive into as well, to see like what their thought process was on the thing. I don't think not saying they were like against it, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying like they probably had some concerns about it, because it was like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like this, listen, Billy Gunn's like, dude, I'm the guy that was just shaking my ass, but I don't know what this is, you know what I'm saying? So definitely interesting. We have the once in a lifetime match with Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and The Rock. This is easily the biggest match on the card for sure. This is the marquee match, and should have been the main event. As much as I don't fuck with Hulk Hogan, I don't like Hulk Hogan. He's a piece of shit, and I also don't really like his in-ring work that much. And in my opinion, this is definitely his best match. And some people may crucify me for that, but listen, I'm not a kid of the '80s, so I have not seen every Hulk Hogan, you know, in his prime match when he was champion and whatnot. So I can't sit there and say I know everything, but like out of all the Hulk Hogan matches I've seen a good amount. This is definitely my favorite Hulk Hogan match for sure. My notes here: iconic standoff. They still use this in video packages today. It was a great match. It was really a good match. Great storytelling. I have noted here, you ain't nothing, Meatball, because this is another just random shit that people be saying, where Hogan like hit him with like a club in the back, and Rock was selling on the ropes, and you just hear Hulk Hogan go, "You ain't nothing, Meatball." Don't know what that means, but this is a similar thing to you and your sister calling each other hot dogs, I guess, where in Hulk Hogan's mind, calling somebody a meatball is the worst thing you could say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just thought it was funny, and there was a cool moment at the end where they kind of, you know, had a little passing of the torch, as well as like kind of a turn where you know, Nash and Hall kind of come out like they're gonna, you know, beat down Rock, and Hogan stops them. And I feel like this is also Hogan. I mean, they clearly show it, but I don't know how long after. But I believe this is when Hogan kind of dips out of the NWO. 'Cause I think the NWO still stays a thing for a little bit with other members, but this is primarily where Hogan, I think, is like out, and then goes back to being like real American Hulk Hogan, and comes out with the boas and stuff like that, kind of that following year. So yeah, cool little moment at the end where Hogan surprisingly passes the torch to Rock, because we all know how Hulk Hogan can be. So I wouldn't be surprised if he would have said, I'm not, it doesn't work for me, brother. So, yeah, but in general, I thought it was a good match.
Yeah, this was my favorite match on the show. I mean, I've said it before. This is like a top 10 WrestleMania match for me. I really like this match a lot. Not mainly because of the two guys in the ring, because obviously I do have my problems with Hulk Hogan. I have my problems with The Rock and all that, but they did very well. They know how to put on a good match. They know how to entertain. And it's very clear because the crowd was fucking on fire this entire match. That's really why this is my favorite match, because the crowd is just so fucking into it. They're exploding the entire time. They're having the greatest fucking time. I'm like, this is what wrestling is all about right here.
Yeah, for sure. Great
so
storytelling.
I very much so enjoyed it.
All right. The semi-main event here. The women's triple threat match for the women's championship. Jazz defending against Trish Stratus and Lita. Who wins? I forgot who wins.
Jazz wins.
Okay. Hell yeah. My notes here. Fun match. Nothing crazy. Nothing too over the top. I will say, I am fucking tired of Jerry Lawler, bro. My God, this man is disgusting. This man is, like, legitimately nothing but disgusting. And, like, I understand and respect the idea that JR and Lawler are an iconic commentary duo. I grew up with them for a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But as a kid, I always enjoyed Taz and Michael Cole more on SmackDown. But I did grow up with Lawler and King for a little bit before, you know, they kind of switched it up. But I am fucking tired of Jerry Lawler, bro. Like, every time there is a woman in the ring, he is just disgustingly sexist, bro. It is, and not just sexist, like, disgustingly perverted is really what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, he cannot help himself, but, like, I've never seen this man commentate a women's wrestling match and actually commentate the women's wrestling match. That's all JR. Lawler, if there's a women's wrestling match, Lawler's only purpose there is to make weird sexual comments about their body or how he wants to be with them, and it is, like, just so gross, bro.
It gets to a point where it makes, like, JR uncomfortable as he's doing commentary during this match as well, and it, like, almost pulls me out of the match because I'm like, what the fuck is this?
That's exactly what it is. Like, when I was taught, because when I started doing wrestling stuff, I was, like, obviously just, you know, kid helping with the ring and whatnot, but then I started kind of getting involved in the show more. So I started on commentary, right? That was the first thing I did before I did ring announcing, before I managed. I did commentary. And, like, the number one thing I was taught when doing commentary is do not make it about yourself. Do not take away from the match or the show. You know what I'm saying? It's not about you. It's about what's going on in the ring. Every time there's a women's wrestling match, this man genuinely just makes it about himself in the most disgusting way he can by just making weird comments about the women that are in the ring. So that is a big thing I'm over with, because it's, like, just very gross, to the point where when we continue these, because he's still there, right, for a couple years while we go down this path, when the women come up, I'm probably just watching it on mute, because I do not want to hear this guy. Because I know next year, for whatever reason, there's another triple threat match. I think it's Jazz versus Trish versus Victoria. Mm-hmm. But I also know that there's this dumb Miller Lite girl, like, Miller Lite, the beer, had, like, mascots that were just two hot girls, right? There's, like, this stupid Miller Lite catfight thing between them and, like, Stacy and Tori. And I just know it is going to be ridiculous. So I'm definitely watching that thing on mute. I don't even really care to watch it in general because it's just dumb. But for the review, I will watch it, but I will probably watch it on mute because I don't want to hear Jerry Lawler talk about how he wants to pour his can of beer all over them or whatever the fuck. Stupid, dumbass. Because the shit don't even make sense when he says it. He'd just be coming up with random shit. Jazz will be in the ring, and he's like, I'd like to jazz all over her. And you're like, what? What are you talking about, bro? Like, it's so stupid. My last note, though, to get back on track. I love Jazz. Jazz is one of the most underrated women's wrestlers ever, dude.
The fuck off of me. I mean, I'm not too experienced with Jazz as much as I am with the other two competitors in this match, but, like, I was just watching her go, and I'm like, dude, I fucking love her wrestling style, bro. It is so good. She is so good. So on top of her game. I was very impressed. I was glad she won, honestly, because I was like, you fucking deserve it.
Yeah, she is legitimately one of the best, like, most underrated women's wrestlers ever, dude. She is so fucking good. It's crazy. And she got a lot. She was women's champion a few times, but, like, this is in a time where the women didn't really get much, so it's like she deserved a lot more than she got in her time there. And now, I think she's doing some stuff in TNA, but I know that she was a couple times. She's been, like, a guest coach at the Performance Center. They should just make her a coach in general at the Performance Center because she is 100%. Incredible. Yeah. You have any notes?
A few other notes I have down here. I also did mention Lawler's commentary and stuff like that. Shout out to, honestly, JR for just trying to keep this shit on track. And also,
this poor man had to do that for so many years, bro. So many years this man had to keep him on track. Or keep the match on track. It's crazy.
I want to shout him out again, too, because I'm pretty sure I did just see a tweet where his, like, cancer has been, like, cleared out and everything like that, and he's back in the working. So shout out to him. That's very good to hear. Very happy to hear. I really did like this match. all love jazz wrestling style. I think all three of these women really work well together because they do have
Yeah.
like different like styles, different like wrestling styles, and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of good stuff going on. Um, I don't know if you picked up on this, but for the few times that Lita went for like the twist of fate, she would just do this fucking scream. And every time she would do it, it would just make me laugh because it's just such a random fucking scream. She's just like, "Ah!" And then she would just like try and go for it. And I'm like, it happens every time. And I'm like, Lita, stop fucking screaming like that.
Yes, that's great.
No, but I liked the match. It was a good match.
Yeah, great match. And the main event, the WWF Undisputed World Heavyweight Championship on the line. Chris Jericho with Stephanie McMahon defending against Triple H. I only got 3 notes for this match, man. The crowd, dead. They came alive, once they got into the match and whatnot. They came alive, but the crowd was dead. Triple H got a live band entrance. They played him to the ring. That crowd did not care. The moment he walked out, there was not a single reaction at all. It was crazy. I've never seen Triple H walk out and it have crickets. Like, there was legitimately no noise other than the music that was playing. So yeah, crowd was dead, which I understand why, because you had Rock and Hogan 2 matches before this, and so they took everything out of the crowd because it was a great match and they were telling a great story. So leading into my other note, Rock and Hogan should have been the main event. As I'm watching this, they should have been last. They should have closed out the show, even though the title's not on the line. It was still like a bigger story and it was just a dream match in general to see. So they should have closed it out. And in general, my last note is the match was just okay. Definitely was not really a WrestleMania main event. It didn't feel like it. It was just, I don't know. It wasn't great. I don't want to shit on anybody that was in here because they were doing their best here. But this is more of rather it being on them, this was more of a Vince thing, I would imagine. Vince should have, he should have, even if, cause I could see Triple H and his little sly ass, I could see him politicking to be the main event. So even if that was the case, Vince should have probably stuck to his guns and said, like, no, because this should not have been the main event. It didn't feel like a main event, and the crowd was not there because Rock and Hogan took all the energy from him. So, yeah, this is definitely a lackluster WrestleMania main event, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't dislike the match. I did think it was a good match. I also have written down that it definitely should have been Hogan Rock. It's just the way bigger match. That's like why a lot of people were really in that crowd to see that match in particular. So it being the main event makes a lot more sense.
No. They were there to see YouTube sensation Maven.
No.
Hey guys, Maven.
They were there to see Christian. Duh.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? They were there to see fucking Hurricane flying on a rope, obviously. I also have written down McMahon bullshit always ensues because it always ensues.
Of course.
Doesn't matter which McMahon it is, it always ensues. One thing I noticed when Triple H was coming out, I feel like this is more so in this match than most of the matches I've seen with Triple H. He is literally soaking fucking wet.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Triple H this wet before. Like, I know he is, like, obviously wet a lot because it's just, like, how he comes out. He has the bottle of water. He has his hair always dripping. He's always, like, I just feel like this man was just, like, soaking wet from top to bottom. Just the entire fucking entrance.
Like,
it was distracting me.
he didn't take a water bottle to his head. He took like a jug of water to his head, bro.
Yeah, he took like one of those giant Gatorade buckets of water over his head before he came out.
He had Jericho and Stephanie lift it up and pour it on top of him before he walked out. Yeah, I noticed that too. He was
like a celebration, but before the match even begun.
Right. Yeah, I noticed that too when he was coming out. Like, his hair did not look like someone that used a spray bottle. It looked like he legitimately was in the shower for like 5 minutes. His hair was that wet. So I was like, wow, he must have been spraying his hair for like the past 30 minutes. But even then, I don't know, because your hair would still start to dry at least, even if you were still spraying it. So I'm like, I don't know what he legitimately may have ran to the locker room and like dipped his head in the shower real quick before his music hit. I don't know, because his hair was insanely
you can see,
wet.
like, when he's doing his entrance, there's like water, just like droplets flying off of him with like, every movement.
I would love for somebody to ask him. Maybe it'll be us if we ever get to interview him. What did you do? Because you did not look like you just poured some water from a water bottle on your head, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. It was very distracting more than anything.
Yeah.
But it was a decent match. Definitely not the main event match.
Right.
But it was
It was just there. Something I want to add that is completely off topic here. It goes back to my what did I do this week, and it completely slipped my mind. I returned to professional wrestling, even if it was only for one night.
You did. I saw
I did.
that. Very nice.
I did. So I've been taking a break since kind of kind of around like maybe November of last year, something October, November, something like that. I think it was November of last year. I kind of stepped away for a little bit. There was a show at the mall, at the Gulfview Mall, so it was down the street from me. I was not going to go. Elias, who I manage, him and his girlfriend were staying here. They stayed here the night before, so that they didn't have to drive all the way over here in the morning and stuff like that. So they stayed the night before, and I was not going to go. They left. They were gone. He had to be there like 10:30. It's funny. He had to be there like 10:30, and so I was like, all right, I'll wake up like 9:30. We'll make breakfast. We'll eat, and then you guys go. Right? I woke up at 10:30, looked at my phone, and it said I have like Life 360, and we have each other on there, and it just said Elias left Kyle's house, and I was like, oh yeah, he's just gone. So I kind of went through the whole day, and I was like, yeah, I'm not really planning on going, so I was just going through the day, and it got to like an hour and a half before the show was supposed to start, and I was just sitting in bed, and I was like, fuck it, let's go. So I just hopped up, threw my shit in a bag real quick, and just ran over there. Everybody was excited to see me, and instantly they were like, you want to go out with Elias? I was like, sure. Because originally I was just going to go to just hang out. So I was like, yeah, fuck it. So we went out there. I got punched in the face. That was funny.
Nice.
So Elias was just in this little battle royal. And so the whole time, we were kind of doing the whole Elias isn't getting in kind of thing. So like we would stay on the outside, or he would jump up on the apron and like hit somebody and then jump off the apron. So we weren't getting in the match. This dude, I don't even know what the hell this guy's name is or whatever. Never even met this guy. But he was in the match. And he, like, rolls out of the ring. And it starts, like, chasing us. And Elias ducks. And all of a sudden, I just see a fist coming right at me. And so, I just got clocked right in the face. Sold it like crazy. I took out, like, 3 rows of chairs. I wish I had the footage. Because I took out, like, 3 rows of chairs. I sold it so over the top. So, yeah. And then Elias eventually got in the ring, and we did it to where Elias eventually got in the ring, and then immediately, like, he slid in the ring and then immediately got eliminated. So yeah, that was fun.
I remember you sending me you sent me like a snap of like you like ringside and stuff like that, and I was like, huh, that kind of looks like the Gulfview Mall.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder. And then like the next day, I saw the tweet of like you and Elias like coming out for your entrance. I'm like, yeah, he's back.
Yes, sir. So yeah, that was AMP. It was like a crossover between AMP and Mero Pro. They did like a little crossover event. So shout out for them to kind of be open and welcoming and letting me be a part of it. As well as July 4th. Anybody that's listening, I want to promote real quick. July 4th, Brawl USA is another company here in Florida. They're in Spring Hill. They are running a show July 4th in Spring Hill, I believe, or something like that. I'm going to be there. Or at least I plan on being there. Elias is booked, so I plan on being there. Another Battle Royal. So we're just becoming Battle Royal guys, apparently, at this point. But, so yeah, shout out to AMP and Mero Pro for having me there. And shout out Brawl USA on July 4th. If anybody's listening and you live in Florida or kind of like the Tampa area a little bit and you want to do something July 4th, what's it called? Sorry. Theo, you can ramble on real quick while I promote this.
I don't really have much else to ramble on about. I thought it was a decent WrestleMania. I didn't dislike it all that much, but it definitely doesn't do as good as 17 was. 17 is obviously the more iconic one in this situation, but it's
Right.
not a WrestleMania I wouldn't want to rewatch again. I think there was definitely some good matches here that I would like to rewatch at some point, especially Hogan and Rock. But yeah,
All right, so
it's pretty solid.
Rev White and Brew White and Brew, my bad, fest at Leadfoot City.
Red,
in,
White, and Will.
Brooksville. Yeah, it's at Leadfoot City in Brooksville, Florida, July 4th. It's a free show, I believe. So coming out, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be fireworks and things like that. So yeah, come see us. But yeah, WrestleMania, it was okay. wasn't the best, especially not 17. But I do have a ton of kind of facts here, some etc. facts about WrestleMania 18. The attendance was 68,237, which is pretty good, pretty decent. This is the only the second time, and this still holds up, only the second time that WrestleMania has been held outside of the USA, because this was in Canada. I don't remember the WrestleMania that was before it, but it also was in Canada in the same venue. So yeah, that's cool. It is an interesting thing because I would almost like to see that happen again, where WrestleMania goes to Canada. I know a lot of people want it in the UK, so that would be awesome as well. But like Canada, something like that. The international WrestleMania does feel needed at this point because I believe this is the last time that has happened, and this is over 20 years ago at this point. So
Yeah.
definitely needs to happen again. The Access video that I always like to talk about, it's always fun. It gives me a nostalgia feeling seeing, this is 2002, so just seeing 2002 almost in a time capsule there with the t-shirts people wearing and the merchandise and stuff like that you see in the Access video. I always enjoy seeing. In the Access video, the Stacy Keibler statue was crazy, bro. I don't know if you picked that up or not, but they made a whole statue, not of Stacy Keibler, just of Stacy Keibler's legs and ass. Yeah. And it was like a thing where you could get in line to touch this statue. You could get in line to feel up this statue of Stacy Keibler's ass and legs. It is so crazy. And like I feel bad because they show it and then it cuts to them interviewing Stacy, and she's just like, yeah, it's so crazy. The fans could come here and see this full scale, thing of my legs and my backside, and I'm just like, this poor girl. Yeah. Like all those girls had to deal with such bullshit. Like it is so stupid. I was laughing because it's so comical, but it really isn't funny. Like it's so wild, so wild. But yeah, originally, so going back to the Edge and Booker T match. So I don't know if you know the feud, like the actual story of the feud, because I don't think they really showed a video package for it.
They did not.
You're gonna love this shit. The actual idea of the feud, of what they were feuding over, why they have a match at WrestleMania, was because Edge stole Booker T's spot in a Japanese hair commercial.
What?
Let that process. Booker T had a spot in a Japanese shampoo commercial that Edge stole from him, and that is the whole basis of their feud. So originally, the idea was that they would have this match at WrestleMania, and it would be a hair versus hair match.
Oh
and
my
then they
should have done
they
that.
They scrapped the idea, but
God.
Funny enough, later that year, I'm pretty sure soon after, they do the same thing with Edge and Kurt Angle, with the hair versus hair. So it's very interesting how that works out.
Is that
but
how Kurt Angle becomes bald?
Yes, you didn't know that?
That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I believe it's at the King of the Ring pay-per-view that year, where I don't think they were in the King of the Ring match. It may have been like a non-tournament match that they just had. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, it was a hair versus hair match, and that's how Kurt Angle loses his hair. He loses the match, and then Edge shaves his head on the stage. So yeah, at the time, yeah, it is so ridiculous. But at the time, this was Lita's only WrestleMania match. That has since changed now because she was on WrestleMania 39 in that tag title match or whatever.
Yep.
But I believe before that, this was Lita's only actual WrestleMania match. She had been involved the year prior. The year prior, she was in she had a run in. There was times she was with Edge, managing Edge and whatnot. But this, I believe, was her only actual match on a WrestleMania. Up until WrestleMania 39. Yeah, it is crazy.
I mean, it's a good match.
Yeah.
You're 1 for 1 there, but like that's still kind of wild.
Right. Bret Hart. Wild name to throw in here, right? Bret Hart originally, so Bret Hart turned down a special guest referee spot on this show. Basically, I guess Vince wanted him to be the ref for the Jericho Triple H match, which I guess would have made sense because Bret Hart is from Canada. It's in Canada. However, I believe they had a Bret Hart DVD come out around this time. However, the relationship between Bret and Vince was not okay. It was still not good. And And so Brett, I guess, contemplated it, but initially, he inevitably said no because he did not think it was a genuine, like, olive branch, and more so they just wanted to promote this, like, DVD rather than actually wanting to repair the relationship between them. So he turned it down. But originally, the idea was that Bret Hart would be the referee for the main event of this WrestleMania, which would have made it a little bit bigger, for sure. Would have gave it a little bit more aura. Taker, this is what I wrote here. It says Taker puts over Jericho. This is something I never knew. Jericho was obviously champion at the time, but he kind of had like, I guess he said in one of his books, he kind of had a case of like imposter syndrome where he didn't think he had really earned it. As well as once he won the title, they didn't do too much with him as champion. And then apparently Triple H, because Triple H is known to be a dick at times for no reason. Apparently Triple H went on like WWE.com, like an interview or something like that, and like just started shooting on Jericho instead, like not in character, was just saying like Jericho shouldn't be champion, he sucks. Vince, fucked up putting it like just was shooting on him for no reason before WrestleMania. So Jericho was in a pretty bad state of mind. He already thought he wasn't good enough, and that he has literally his opponent at WrestleMania shooting on him before WrestleMania, so he wasn't in a good spot. He said after the match though, he came to the curtain and he said the first person there was Undertaker, who shook his hand and said, with everything basically stacked against you, you still were able to be a good worker and be a good champion, and you've earned my respect, and basically just put him over backstage. And that obviously lifted Jericho's spirit. So I just wanted to add that because I thought that was so cool, because it shows like such a simple thing. Jericho was in a bad spot. He didn't think he deserved it. And all it took was Undertaker literally just shaking his hand and being like, you did good, to kind of put him in a better spot. So that was really cool on Undertaker to do, especially because, again, he's the godfather of professional wrestling in general. So like, he's he's the locker room leader at the time. So It wasn't just some random guy or his friend or something like that. This is the guy. That would be like Roman Reigns or John Cena, or CM Punk going up to Chad Gable and saying that, currently. So really cool on Taker to do that for Jericho for sure. And my last little note here is so crazy. Triple H made 5 times more in pay than Chris Jericho did for this WrestleMania. It is so crazy.
Make any sense?
And the story goes, shout out to Chris Jericho for sticking up for himself, because the story goes that Jericho was like excited to see what his check was going to be, because he's like, I just made an event at WrestleMania. This check is going to be nice. You know what I'm saying? And he said he got it, and he was not happy. He said it was in like the 5 figures instead of the 6 figures like he thought it would be. And so he was like, well, that fucking sucks. So apparently he went to Triple H the next week and just asked him man to man, like, how much did you make for that Mania match? And Triple H told him. And apparently Jericho was so mad, he went directly to Vince's office and basically was like, you need to fucking fix this. That's bullshit. And he thought he was going to get into like this verbal argument with Vince. And Vince like looked at the check and was like, yeah, that don't make no sense at all. And like instantly called JR and was like, you need to write him another check, because this is not right. And so Jericho got his fair pay. But I thought that was interesting too, that Jericho stuck up for himself. Good for him. You know what I'm saying? Instead of just being like, well, I guess it is what it is. He was like, no, fuck that. Add another 0. So good on him for that. But yeah, that's kind of all my WrestleMania 18 facts. If anybody's listening and there's some I missed, definitely throw them down there, because I'm sure there's stuff we missed. And one of the things I feel like when we go through these WrestleManias that kind of fucks us up, and maybe we could figure out a way to make it a little bit better for ourselves, is like we go into these WrestleManias, but we don't know in a way like where on the timeline we are. So we don't know like what feuds happened right before that or happened right after that. So I feel like we need to figure out a way to like surround ourselves with, like, if we're going into like next time when we do 19, I feel like we need to go and like look at the year 2003 as a whole, and then go in and watch the WrestleMania, so then we know what happened leading up to this and what happens like after this and whatnot, because I feel like we do kind of go in blind a little bit to like the storylines that are going on.
Right.
So yeah, but that's kind of the episode, unless you have anything else you want to add, Mr. Theo.
No, solid Mania.
Okay, for sure. I think it's a little underwhelming, but it's not the worst WrestleMania. So yeah, I think, and maybe it is a solid WrestleMania, but I'm getting like fuzzy because of WrestleMania 17 being right before it. If this was a WrestleMania if this was WrestleMania 23 or something like that, I may have a different vibe on it. But because it had to follow literally like probably the best WrestleMania, it's definitely hard to follow. But yeah, this is kind of the episode. So if y'all enjoyed this, let us know for sure. Yeah, I'm trying to. So our next, I have our pod schedule up here. So I want to announce to the public what our, because you know, I know, but I want to announce to the public what our next 4 weeks of podcast is looking like. So July 2025, again, this may shift because I need to see where Man of Steel is going to land here. But so our review at some point is going to be Man of Steel, leading up to the week of, you know, the new Superman coming out. But we're going to do a whole superhero theme in general for the month because we have Superman coming out, but we also have Fantastic Four coming out. So we're going to do our review of Man of Steel, but we're also going to do our top 5 DC characters, just straight DC. We're going to do our top 5 Marvel characters, so that's 2 big topics right there. But we're also going to do our top 5 superhero movies, which is not the MCU. It's just in general. It could be the MCU, but just in general. Marvel, DC, MCU, Sony, anything. It's going to be just overall superhero movies are our top 5, as well as we are going to have 2 bonus episodes for our reviews for the new Superman movie and the new Fantastic Four movie. So July is going to be a very big content month for the podcast. So definitely stay tuned. As well as on my end, I'd imagine at some point in July we're probably finally going to get Rachel back over here to finish the Star Wars watch along. So that might be a whole other video on my channel to watch the Star Wars prequel or Star Wars sequels. So July is a big month for the OTS pod crew here between me and Theo. So definitely make sure you subscribe and follow along because you're not going to want to miss out. That's 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 videos that are going to be dropping in the month of July for us. So that's going to be crazy. Shout out to WNRN, of course, as always, our glorious podcast hosts. They're great. Yeah, you got anything else you want to add there, Mr. Theo?
No, I'm excited for July. There's going to be a lot of good stuff going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a big month. So make sure, again, subscribe, but follow us. You can see OTS Bridger, OTS Bebop on our little bumper there. Make sure to follow us for updates on the podcast. So between subscribing here, following us on whatever you follow us on, you should be able to be in the know of when episodes are dropping. So yeah, with that, we will see y'all next week.